Newt Gingrich, incredibly important Republican lawmaker, he was known, I guess in the gossipy sense, as the guy that cheated on his wife and served her with divorce papers while she was being treated for cancer.
Yeah, around the same time that the Republicans were trying to make a big moral issue out of Bill Clinton's admittedly problematic personal life.
I say that just to preface this video here, because we played yesterday how Jesse Waters, another guy in a glass house, was very upset at this ad that Democrats, a Democratic aligned PAC is running, that basically says, hey, women, even if your husband's MAGA, you can go in the voting booth and wink and a nod. You can still vote for Kamala Harris if that's what your conscience is telling you. And there have been, again, these are reports from people who are working for the Harris campaign, so take it with a grain of salt. They have an incentive to say this. But they've been saying that they've heard from women when they're doing their calls, trying to get out the vote, whispering into the phone like, I actually agree with you, or there being a discrepancy in the household with men and women on this front. And we could be seeing, we're on pace for one of the highest gender gaps, regardless of outcome, in the history of the presidential race. Although, of course, women have only really had the right to vote for around 100 years. But in the modern history of elections, this will probably end up being the widest gender gap. So they're clearly concerned about this. So again, with all of with the reminders about Newt Gingrich, and then also Jesse Waters, who, I will say this every time, let out the air of his current wife's tires when she was an intern at Fox News so that she would neither ride home from him, and he bragged about this on air. This is his own words. These two guys are very upset that wives may be differing from their husbands when it comes to the voting booth.
To go and lean Julia Roberts and cut an ad about women lying to their husbands, that it's okay, followed up by her speech this week where she flat out lied and said Donald Trump is going to have a national abortion ban when he said many times the exact opposite. He's going to limit access to birth control. The exact opposite is true, that he doesn't support, he'll stop IVF treatment. The exact opposite is true. Or have Hollywood elitist jackass, really? I'm gonna look for what manliness looks like to George Clooney, the Hollywood jackass, spoiled elitist.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Sean Hannity, you want to get into a manliness contest with George Clooney? You're gonna... Really? Like, I don't know, man. It's like me trying to say that I want to play 1v1 with LeBron James. I don't know if that's like the best idea.
I thought there was a story that Hannity used to have like a soccer ball in his radio station, and then he switched it to football because it was more manly. But maybe somebody can correct me on if that was somebody besides Hannity, but I'm pretty sure it was Hannity.
I mean, he's also just completely lying about Donald Trump's positions. Donald Trump's positions change from day to day, what he's going to say, what he actually supports. We know what he's done. He stacked the Supreme Court with 3 right-wing justices with the intention of overturning the right to an abortion, and he did so successfully. And when they talk about the restrictions to IVF and to other forms of birth control, yeah, Donald Trump publicly says, I'm not really for that, but Republicans across the country are trying to enact it, and there are lawsuits that back that up. So it's so insane and funny how these right-wing pundits rely on the fact that Donald Trump lies and changes his position every other day. You can't go on that. You can't go on what he says, because what he says one day is different from what he says the other. We know what his actions have indicated. But keep going.
The Hollywood jackass, spoiled elitist? No, thank you. He's no John Wayne.
Okay.
Look, let me go out on a limb for a second as a historian. These people are dishonest. They're relentlessly, routinely dishonest.
You're talking
at
to
every
yourself
level.
in the mirror.
And so for them to tell people to lie is just one further example of the depth of their corruption. I mean, how do you run a country where you're walking around saying wives should lie to their husbands, husbands should lie to their wives? I mean, What kind of a totally amoral, corrupt, sick system have the Democrats developed? If you think about it at that level, it is astonishing, the decay. This is what, frankly, why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. switched parties, but didn't switch parties, but was campaigning Sunday with Donald Trump, because the party of John F. Kennedy, the party of Robert Kennedy, it's gone. I mean, instead of having dignity and patriotism and a sense of morality, these are really sick people. And the more you watch them, to say, oh, why don't you lie to your husband as a publicly advocated ad, that is sick. Yeah. And I think we ought to have the courage to say, this is a sick, dishonest party.
This is sick. This is sick. It would be sick. It really is sick that the Democrats are trying to formalize a process by which women can lie to their husbands and almost make it so that there's like it would be like the way that men have treated women throughout history for quite a while. I mean, it's just ridiculous. That's not what's happening there.
This is a characteristic of how they hate education in general.
Yes, yes.
Because like the voter education, people are like kind of surprised to know that whether you voted or not is public information. People may also not know that how you do vote is private, right? And reminding people about that creates a lot of anxiety in the way that education creates anxiety in these people.
Exactly right. You'll know if you voted. There will be a tabulation of the fact that you voted, but it is not recorded who you actually voted for. And that is what the Democrats are trying to encourage with these ads. And the Republicans are panicked that it's having that effect. But you just see here with the Jesse Waters clip yesterday and with this Newt Gingrich thing, he has no problem with the complete hypocrisy of going on air on national television when your scandals of divorce, he's been divorced twice, but the most notorious one was the fact that he left his wife while she was on her cancer hospital bed, to go out there and say the Democrats are encouraging spouses to lie to one another. But really, he throws in the men to lie to their wives, but the rest of the conversation is around women lying to their husbands, because we know now, and I hope people start to understand this, whether it's about abortion, whether it's about birth control, whether it's about the way families are constructed. We hear that from J.D. Vance. At the end of the day, it's about controlling women and controlling their agency and creating a system in which men, a political system, a Christian theocratic system in which men are the actors, the ones with agency, and women are outgrowths of them, or they're a subsidiary of them. It's about control, whether it be sexual control, reproductive control, or in this instance, what's outraging them is the fact that they don't have control over their wives in the voting booth. And that's why you have like just these right-wing edgelords just these days casually talking about removing women's right to vote. Oh, they can vote as an extension of their husband, but that's it. This is the kind of politics right now that they represent unabashedly. And, you know, you go back to Donald Trump in 2016, when he entered that Republican primary, he was viewed as too moderate. He was seen as a liberal coastal elite guy that had been with porn stars, that had had multiple divorces, that was a known playboy, Lothario, whatever. But they got over that really quickly, and the entire Republican apparatus got him on board with a far-right Christian fundamentalist agenda, which he delivered on. And now there's no more of that veneer of his so-called moderate politics because of his background in television and entertainment. He has completely embodied those politics, as exemplified by his VP pick, as exemplified by that MAGA rally at Madison Square Garden. They're not making any efforts to moderate their message because this is what they stand for. So I'm so sick of people pretending like they're not meaning what they say. No, this is what they mean. This is what they mean. And all of those, like, you know, Reince Priebus and Nikki Haley, who apparently hasn't been able, she's been going on Fox News to say, maybe get a woman in the room because she hasn't been able to get in contact with Trump since June, she said on Fox News with the other day with Cavuto.
I've got Sage Steele, okay, I'm fine.
Oh my God. I did not know how much of a nut job she was. That's a whole nother.
You missed her on Dave Rubin then.
Yeah, conversation. But But this is, even if it wasn't what is in Donald Trump's heart or in his lived experience as a rich guy in New York City, it doesn't matter, folks. This is exactly what they represent. And the fact that, a guy like Newt Gingrich gets to be outraged about this, even with his past and obvious hypocrisy, it lays it bare. This is about control, and this is the kind of government that they want to create.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.